cream of my coffee. You're the salt in my stew. You will always be my necessity. I'd be lost without you. You're the starch in my collar. You're the lace in my shoe. You will always be my necessity. I'd be lost without you. Most men tell love tales, and each phrase dovetails. You've heard each known way. This way is my own way. You're the sail of my love boat. You're the captain and crew. You will always be my necessity. I'd be lost without you.
Good evening. Welcome to Lumina Theatre Group's presentation of Cold Comfort Farm by Stella Gibbons. The play will last for approximately 90 minutes with one 5-minute intermission. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy tonight's performance of Cold Comfort Farm.
The education bestowed on me by my... third person, I think. I'm not sure I want this to be autobiographical. Again, the education bestowed on Flora Post by her parents, that's better, had been expensive, athletic, and prolonged. And when they died within a few weeks of one another during the epidemic of the Spanish influenza, which occurred in her 20th year, she was discovered to possess every art and grace save that of earning her own living. She decided, therefore, to stay with a friend, Mary Smiling, at her house in Lambeth until she could continue where to bestow herself and her £100 a year.
Now, about this going to live with someone. Of course, you can stay here as long as you like, darling, but I suppose you will want to take up some kind of work sometime, won't you? And earn enough to have a flat of your own.
What kind of work?
Oh, well, organizing work like I used to do. Don't ask me what that is exactly, for I've forgotten. It's so long ago since I did any, but I'm sure you could do it. Or you might do journalism, or big bookkeeping, or beekeeping, or...
I'm afraid I couldn't do any of those things, Mary.
Well, what then, darling? Now, Flora, don't be feeble. What will you live on?
My relatives. There is a bachelor cousin of father's in Scotland. There is a sister of mother's at Worthington. A female cousin of mother's lives in Kensington. And there are also some distant cousins, connections of mother's, I believe, who live in the West Country.
West Country? I don't much like the sound of that. Do they live on a decaying farm?
I am afraid they do. Mrs. Judith Starkadder, Cold Comfort Farm, Howling, Devon.
Those names are not promising.
No. I think if I find that if I have any third cousins living at Cold Comfort Farm who are named Seth or Reuben, I shall decide not to go.
Why?
Because highly sexed young men living on farms are always called Seth or Reuben, and it would be such a nuisance.
But do you truly mean you don't ever want to work or anything?
Well, when I am 53 or so, I would like to write a novel as good as Persuasion, but with a modern setting, of course. For the next 30 years or so, if anyone asks me what I work at, I shall say collecting material. No one can object to that. Besides, so I shall be. If you ask me, I think I have much in common with Miss Austen. She liked everything to be tidy and pleasant and comfortable about her, and so do I. I cannot endure mess.
Flora's parents had 4 cousins. Flora sent begging letters to each of them in hope that one would offer her a roof over her head. She could hardly wait to read the replies.
And I'm sure you would not mind giving a hand with the dogs sometime. Young Peggy, who is so keen on her girl guiding, would love to share her bedroom with you.
I cannot share a bedroom, so that disposes of Aunt Gwen. This one is from Mr. McNack, father's cousin in Perthshire.
Delighted, although I fear it will be a little dull for you with no company save that of myself. And I am often in bed with my old trouble. My man Hoots, the housekeeper, who is elderly and somewhat deaf. The house is 7 miles from the nearest village, and
No. Try the third one.
There is a little difficulty about the bedroom. Perhaps you would not mind being in the large attic, which is used as a meeting room for the Spiritual Investigators League on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and also houses the parrot. I do hope you're not a skeptic, for manifestations sometimes occur there.
You see, it means sharing a bedroom. I do not object to the psychic phenomena, but I do object to the parrot.
So it's the farm in Devon then. What did they say?
I've been putting off reading it.
I think you'd better.
Dear niece, so you are after your rights at last. Well, I have expected to hear from Robert Post's child these last 20 years.
Child, my man did your father a great wrong. You will come to us. I will do my best to atone, but you must never ask me what for. My lips are sealed. We are not like other folk, maybe, but there have always been Starkadders at Cold Comfort, and we will do our best to welcome Robert Post's child. Child, if you come to this doomed house, what is to save you?
Your affectionate aunt, J. Starkadder. Well, at least it has the negative merit of keeping silence upon the subject of sleeping arrangements.
I do wonder what it was her man did to your father. Did you ever hear him say anything about a Mr. Starkadder?
Never. The Starkadders are only connected with us by marriage. This Judith is a daughter of Mother's eldest sister, Ada Doom, who was always rather a misery, and Mother couldn't abide her because she loved the countryside and wore artistic hats. She ended up marrying a Devon farmer. I suppose his name was Starkadder.
Did you ever meet her?
No, I am happy to say.
Oh, well, it sounds an appalling place, but in a different way from the others. I mean, it does sound interesting and appalling, while the others just sound appalling.
Yes, I think I will go to Devon, Mary. I am anxious to see what Cousin Judith means by my rights. I shall go down tomorrow after lunch. In fact, I will wire them right now to say I am coming.
Right, time for some dramatic scene setting. Dawn crept over the Devon moors like a sinister white animal, followed by the snarling cries of a wind beating at the dormers and mullions and scullions of Cold Comfort Farm. The farm was crouched on a bleak hillside whence its fields, fanged with flints, dropped steeply into the village of Howling a mile away. The farmhouse was long, low building, 2-storied in parts. Other parts were 3-storied. Edward VI had originally owned it on the farm of a shed in which he housed his swineherds. Then he pulled it down, Elizabeth had rebuilt it with a good many chimneys in one way and another. The Charleses had let it alone, but William and Mary had pulled it down again. George I had rebuilt it. George II, however, burnt it down. And Edward VII left it as it was. The farm building crouched like a beast about to spring under the bulk of Mark Uncle Hill. Each dawn, the spurt and regular splash of milk against metal would come from the reeking interior of the sheds. The bucket was pressed between Adam Lambsford's knees, and his head was pressed deep into the flank of Feckless, the big Jersey cow. He was asleep. Next to him, 3 other cows, Graceless, Pointless, and Aimless, awaited their turn to be milked. And Big Business the bull awoke to another day and the clammy darkness of his cell.
Adam!
What?
How many pails of milk will there be this morning?
I don't know many. It is hard to tell. If so be as our Pointless has got over her indigestion, maybe 'twill be 4. If so as she ate, well, maybe 3.
Well, get as many buckets as you can. And another thing, you will have to drive down into Beershorn tonight to meet a train. Robert Post's child is coming to stay with us
Oh,
for a while.
man I, oh, Miss Judith, oh, dunna send me. How can I look into a little flower face and me knowing what I knows? Oh, Miss Judith, I beg of 'ee not to send me. Besides, 'tis close on 65 year since I put hands on a pair of reins, and I might upset the maidie.
No, you must go, Adam.
Oh.
You must forget what you know, as we all must while she is here. As for the driving, you had best harness Viper to the trap and drive down to Howlin and back 6 times this afternoon to get your hand in again.
Could not Master Seth go instead?
You remember what happened when he went to meet the new kitchen maid? No, you must go.
Aye, then I'll go, Miss Judith. I done her many times I thought as how this day might come. And now I mun go to bring Robert Post's child back to cold comfort. Aye, 'tis strange. The seed to the flower to the fruit to the belly. Aye, so 'twill go.
Judith had crossed the muck and rabble of the yard and now entered the house by the back door. In the large kitchen, a sullen fire burned. A snood full of coarse porridge hung over the fire, and standing with one arm resting upon the high mantel was a tall young man whose coarse linen shirt was open to his waist. His name was Seth Starkadder, and the firelight lit up his diaphragm muscles as they heaved slowly in rough rhythm with the porridge.
Well, mother mine, here I am. You see, I said I'd be back in time for breakfast, and I've kept my word.
The porridge gave an ominous, leering heave. It might almost have been endowed with life. So uncannily does its movements keep pace with the human passions that throbbed above it.
Coward, liar, libertine! Who were you with last night? Moll at the mill, or Violet at the vicarage? Or Ivy, perhaps, at the ironmongery? Seth, my son, do you want to break my heart?
Yes.
Oh.
The porridge boiled over.
Where's Elfine?
She's not up yet, Amos. I did not wake her. She hinders more than she helps in mornings.
It has a godless habit to lie abed of a working day, and the raking red bits of the Lord's eternal wrathy fires lie in wait for them as do.
Adam is gone to collect Robert Post's child.
Oh, she comes at last, does she?
Aye, she comes at last.
I think we must be there.
Hey, never say that.
But I do say it. Look, if you drive on, we shall go slam into a hedge.
It's all one, Robert Post's child.
It may be all one to you, but it isn't to me. I shall get down.
Is that you, Adam? Oh, Robert Post's child.
So, Flora mused, Master Columbus had felt when the poor Indian fixed his solemn, unwavering gaze upon the great sailor's face. For the first time, a Starkadder looked upon a civilized being.
You'd best come in, Robert Post's child.
How do you do? You must be my cousin Judith. I am so glad to see you. Terribly nice of you to have me. Isn't it curious we should never have met before?
My sons, Seth and Reuben, my sons are waiting to see their cousin.
It's so nice of them, but as I'm tired and cold, perhaps I'll see them in the morning.
As you will. I will show you to your room. The chimney, perhaps, smokes.
I should think it more than probable. Oh, I wonder if Adam could send a telegram for me.
Worst fears realized, darling. Stop. Seth and Reuben, too. Stop. Send a gumboots.
Flora's resolve to sleep late into the next morning was partly frustrated by a shocking row which broke out below her window.
Shame on thee, Master Reuben, to bite the hand that fed thee as a codling. Who should know the wants of the dumb beast better than me? 'Tis not for naught I nursed our Pointless when she were 3 days old and blind as a wren.
Be that as it may, Graceless has lost a leg. Where is it? Answer me that, you doddering old fool of a man. Who will buy Graceless now when I take her down to Beershorn Market? Who wants a cow with only 3 legs, saving some old circus man looking around for freakies to put in his show?
Oh, never put our Graceless in one of these circuses. The shame of it will kill me, Master Reuben.
I bet 'tis all the same. Cold Comfort stock ne'er finds a buyer anyway. With the Queen's bane blighting our corn, and the King's evil laying waste the clover, and the Prince's forfeit bringing black ruin on the A, and the sows as barren as Comasket. Aye, 'tis the same tale everywhere all over the farm. Where's that leg? Answer me that.
Hey, do you think you would mind not talking quite so loudly, please? I am so sleepy, and I should be so grateful if you would keep it down. Thank you.
When Flora again awoke, it was daylight. Despite the absence of hot water, she dressed in pleasant leisure. Studying her room, she decided that she liked it and descended for breakfast to find Adam Lambsworth washing the dishes.
There's porridge, Robert Post's child.
Any bread and butter and some tea? I don't much care for porridge. And have you a piece of clean newspaper I could just put on the corner of this table to protect me from the porridge? It seems to have got about a bit this morning, doesn't it?
There's tea in the jar yonder and bread and butter in the crocket. You may find them yourself, Robert Post child. I have my task to do and my watch to keep, and I cannot run here and there to fetch newspapers for a capsy wennet. Besides, we've troubles enough at Cold Comfort without bringing in such thing as clamouring newspapers to upset us and frighten us.
Oh, have you? What troubles? Haven't you enough money?
There's money enough in the farm, Robert Post's child, but 'tis all turned to sourness and ruin until there's a curse on Cold Comfort.
Indeed. Is that why everything looks so gone to seed and what not?
There's no seeds, Robert Post child. The seeds wither as they fall. The cows are barren, and the sows are farren, and the king's evil, and the queen's bane, and the prince's heritage ravages our crops. 'Cause why? 'Cause there's a curse on us, Robert Post child.
But look here, couldn't something be done about it? I mean, perhaps Cousin Amos could sell the farm and buy another one without any curse on it, in Berkshire or Dorsetshire.
Hey! There's always been Starkadders at Cold Comfort. 'Tis impossible for any of us to dream of leaving here. Mrs. Starkadder, the old lady. She's set on us staying here. 'Tis the life in her veins. Her hand lies on us like iron, Robert Post child. But she never leaves her room, and she never sees no one but Miss Judith. She's never left the farm the last 20 years. I'm at Cletter the dishes now. Leave me in peace, Robert Post child.
What on earth are you doing with that thorn twig?
Cletter in the dishes, Robert Post child.
But surely you could do it much more easily with a little mop. A nice little mop with a handle.
I don't want a little mop with a handle. I've used a thorn twig these 50 years and more, and what was good enough then is good enough now.
Regardless, I shall buy one for you when I go to Beersham tomorrow.
My little Wennet.
Who was that?
My cowdling, my little Elfine.
Indeed. And does she always charge about like that?
Aye, she's as wild and shy as a Pharisee of the woods. Days she'll be away from home, wandering on the hills, with only the little rabbits and the spying Maggies for company yet. Aye, and of nights too, wandering far from those that loves her and coddled her in their bosoms when she was a mommet. She'll break my heart into little sippets, so she will.
Does she go to school? How old is she?
17. Oh, nay, never talk of school for my Wennet Elfine. She learns from the skies and the wild marsh tickets, not out of books.
How trying. Look here, where is everybody this morning? I want to see Miss Judith before I go out for a walk.
Miss Amos is down seeing the well drained for Sarah Lucy's Polly. We think she's fallen into it. Master Reuben, he's down at Nettleflitch ploughing. My Seth, he's off Mollicking somewheres in Howling. Miss Judith, she's upstairs.
Well, I shall go up to find her. What does Mollicking mean? No, you needn't tell me. I can guess.
Come in.
Good morning, Cousin Judith. I am so sorry to interrupt you. I hope you're not busy.
Busy? Busy weaving my own shroud, belike. Nay, do as you please, Robert Post's child, if so be as you don't break in on my loneliness. Give me time, and I will atone for the wrong my man did to your father. We will all atone.
I suppose you wouldn't care to tell me what the wrong was. I do feel it would make matters a little easier.
And I told you my lips are sealed.
Just as you like, of course, Cousin Judith. And there is another thing about paying for my keep.
Keep it! Keep it! We will never touch a halfpenny of Robert Post's money. While you are here as the guest of Cold Comfort. Every middock you eat is paid for with our sweat. 'Tis as it should be, seeing the way things are.
Thank you. Oh, by the way, I adore my bedroom, but do you think I could have the curtains washed? I believe they are red, but I should so like to make sure.
Curtains? Child, it is many years since such trifles broke across the web of my solitude.
I'm sure it is, but do you think I might have them washed all the same? Could Adam do them?
Adam? His frail arms have not the strength. Miriam Beetle, the hired girl, might have done them, but she's in labour in her hut.
What? Without a doctor or anything? Hadn't we better send Adam down to Howling for one?
Leave her in peace. Animals like Miriam are best alone at such times. 'Tis her fourth time. Every year, in the fullness of summer, when the sook bind hangs heavy from the wains, 'tis the same. And when the spring comes, her hour is upon her again. 'Tis the hand of nature, and we women cannot escape it.
Oh, can't we? Well, she's out of the question anyway.
What question?
I mean the curtains. She can't wash them if she's just had a baby, can she?
You will be about again tomorrow. Such wenches are like the beasts of the field.
Are all these photographs of Seth? There are hundreds.
Aye, look at him. The shame of our house. Cursed be the day I brought him forth in the wooing tongue God gave him to bring disgrace upon weak women.
Well, Cousin Judith, if you really think Miriam might be about again in a few days, perhaps I might look in at her hut this morning and arrange about the curtains.
The fourth time. Love, children. Puh. That animal and love.
Well, then I'll be off to see Miriam. And I must see, I think, what can be done about Seth. Good morning, Miriam. Are you feeling any better? Mrs. Starkadder seems to think you will be about again in a day or two, and if you feel well enough, I would like you to wash the curtains in my bedroom.
Why come here, mocking me in my shame? Haven't I enough to bear with 3 children to find food for me mother, looking after a 4th? And who's to know what will come after me when the soup-bine is in the edges again, and I feel so strange on the summer evenings.
Nothing will happen to you if only you use your intelligence and see that it doesn't. Have you heard of taking precautions?
'Tis wickedness. 'Tis flying in the face of nature.
Nature is all very well in her place, but she must not be allowed to make things untidy. Now remember, Miriam, no more souk-bind and summer evenings without some precautions beforehand. As for your children, if you will wash the curtains for me, I will pay you, and that can go towards buying some of whatever it is children have to eat.
All right, but... Oh, 'tis mother. Come in, mother.
Good morning, miss. A nasty day.
Good morning, Mrs. Beetle. Indeed, yes.
She comes up at the farm. She wants me to wash her bed curtains, and me with me trouble.
Who's she? The cat's mother? Oh, speak properly to the young lady. Wash them. Well, I never thought I'd live to hear of anyone up at Cold Comfort wanting a bit of washing done. Well, she'll wash them for you, miss. I'll bring them along myself tomorrow afternoon and put them up for you. Well, ain't you going to ask me how he is?
I knows. There ain't no need to ask. He's fine. Always it does.
Well, you needn't sound as though you wish they wouldn't. Lord knows they wasn't very welcome, poor little innocents, but now they're here, and we may as well bring them up right. And I will too. It's to me advantage. Come another 4 years and I can begin making use of them.
How?
Well, train the 4 of them up into one of them jazz bands. I seen them in the News of the People, and they can earn as much as £6 a night playing up at London at nightclubs.
I see. Well, I'll be off then. I'll see you tomorrow, Mrs. Beetle.
Goodbye, miss.
She was telling me next time the souk-bind is in flower, I should take precautions.
Not that I hold with that, mind you. It ain't right.
Aye, 'tis wickedness. 'Tis flying in the face of nature.
That's right. At the same, it might be worth trying.
The following morning, Flora was having breakfast when Reuben entered. The man's big body, etched menacingly against the bleak light that stabbed in from the low windows, did not move. She was rather sorry for him. Amongst all the Starkadders, he looked as though he got the least kick out of life. After all, most of the family got a kick out of something. Amos got one from religion. Judith got one out of Seth. Adam got his from coddling the dumb beasts. Elphine got hers from dancing about in the moors in the fog in a peculiar dress, while Seth got his from mollocking. But Reuben just didn't seem to get a kick out of anything.
Flora Post, a woman, blast, blast, come to wrest away from me the land whose love ferments in my veins like slow yeast. She-woman, young, soft colour, insolent, keeping old and hold fast the land, the iron furrows of frosted earth, under the rain lust, the fecund spears of rain, the swelling slow burst of seed sheets, the trampling bride pride of the bull in his hour, all mine, mine.
Tea? And will you have some bread and butter? Oh, never mind your boots. Adam can sweep the mud up afterwards. Do come in.
I have stranded 200 furrows from 5 o'clock down in the butte.
Did you?
I did too. 200 from Ticklepenny's corner down to Nettle Flitch. I without Anne to aid me. Could you have done that?
No, indeed. But then you see, I shouldn't want to.
Wouldn't you then? I bet you'd pay a hired man good money to do it for you all day, wasting the farm's takings.
Indeed, I wouldn't. I wouldn't care if Ticklepenny's Corner wasn't scrantled at all. I don't want to have anything to do with Nettleflitch. I'd let you do it all instead.
Let a murksy capsy word to use as a man who has nursed a farm like a sick mummet, a man as knows every inch of soil and patch of soot bind in the place. Let I a fine word.
I really think we had better get this straight, Reuben. It will make things so much easier. I don't want the farm. Really, I don't. In fact, well, such an idea never came into my head. I know nothing about farming, and I don't want to. I would much rather leave it to people who do know everything about it, like you. Why, just think what a mess I should make of the soot-bind harvest and everything. You must see that I am the last person in the world who would be any use at scranleting.
Aye, them will last me till Michaelmas to clatter the dishes with. There's nothing like a thorn twig for clattering dishes.
How do you do? Are you set? I'm your cousin, Flora Post. I'm afraid you're too late for tea, unless you would like to make some fresh for yourself.
What's that you're working on?
A tea cloth.
Oh, women's nonsense.
You seem to have dropped your voice by half an octave.
Hey, women are all alike. Aye, you're fussing over your fall of lols and bidets in a man's eyes. But all you really want is a man's blood, and his heart out of his body, and his soul, his pride.
Really? Have you seen my scissors?
Aye, that's all women want. A man's life. And then when they've got them bound up in their fallals and bidets and ways with their softness, and he can't move because the longing for him is cries in his man's blood. You know what you do then?
I'm afraid not. Would you mind passing me that reel of cotton on the mantelpiece just by your ear? Thank you so much.
They eat him, same as any spider eats a cock spider, and that's what women do, if a man lets them, that is.
Indeed.
Aye. Now I don't let no woman eat me. I eats them instead. That shocks you, eh?
Yes, I think it's dreadful.
Dreadful. Aye, you are all alike. You're just the same as the rest for all your London ways. I'll lay you don't understand half of what I've been saying to you, do you?
I'm afraid I wasn't listening to all of it, but I am sure it was very interesting. What do you do now on the evenings when you aren't eating people?
Goes over to Beershorn.
To play darts?
No. No, me play that kids game with a lot of old men. No, that's a good one. No, I goes to the talkies.
The talkies, do you? Do you like them?
Yeah, better nor anything in the whole world. Better nor my mother, nor this farm, nor Violet down at the vicarage, nor anything.
Indeed. That's interesting. Very interesting indeed.
Oh yeah, I got 74 photographs, a lot of fun show. And I got 40 of Jenny Carroll and 55 Laura Vallee and 20 of Caroline Evytree, 15 Sigrid Maelstrom, signed ones. And I'm off to Beershorn to see Sweet Sinners.
And while she was undressing, Flora reflected that her campaign of tidying up of Cold Comfort was progressing quite well when she thought that she'd only been there 2 days. She had made overtures to Reuben about running the farm. She had instructed Miriam, the hired girl, on the precautionary arts, and she had got her bedroom curtains washed. She had discovered that Seth's grand passion was not women, but the talkies, and she had had a plan for making the most of him, but she could think that out in detail later. Happily, she blew out the candle.
Good morning, Mrs. Beetle. How's Miriam?
Well enough, thank you, Miss Post.
I've noticed from your tray that Aunt Ada Doom enjoys what one might call a hearty breakfast.
Aye, she has sausages, marmalade, porridge, a fat black pot of strong tea, 2 soft-boiled eggs, a kipper just on the turn, half a pot of jam Adam stole from the vicarage bazaar last summer, and...
Half a loaf?
Yes, we're a bit off our feed this morning, as you might say. Of course, you haven't met her yet, have you? At least she's the only one of them at Cold Comfort that knows her own mind, even if she did see something nasty in the woodshed when she was 2.
Flora learned that Amos preached twice a week to the Church of the Quivering Brethren, a religious sect which had its headquarters in Beershon. It occurred to her that she might ask to accompany him there one evening, and began working on him during the long drive down to the town. Flora supposed that some people would say that Amos walked in a lurid, smoky hell in his own religious torment. In any case, he was a rude old man.
Well, old burn in hell. And I must surely tell him so. As for ye, you poor miserable creeping sinner, and maybe you think you'll escape hellfire if you come along with me, and bow down and quiver. I'm telling you no, 'tis too late. You'll burn with the rest. There'll be time to say what your sins have been, but there'll be no time for more.
Just have a rug.
Now the sins burn in your marrow will keep you warm.
It must be so interesting to preach to the brethren, Cousin Amos. I quite envy you. Do you prepare your sermon beforehand, or do you just make it up as you go along?
Don't speak of the word of the Lord in that wondrous way. The word is not prepared beforehand. It falls on my mind like the manna fell from heaven into the bellies of the starving Israelites.
Really? How interesting. Then you have no idea what you're going to say before you get there?
I always knows it will be something about burning, or the eternal torment of sinners coming to judgment.
Does anyone else preach, or are you the only one?
Oh, only me. Deborah Checkbottom, she tried once ways to get up and preach, but weren't no good, or couldn't.
Wouldn't the Spirit work or something?
No, it worked, but I wouldn't have it. I reckon the Lord's ways is dark, and there'd been a mistake, and the Spirit that was meant for me had fallen on Deborah, so I just struck her down with a good old Bible to let the devil out of her soul.
And did it come out?
Aye, it came out. We heard no more of Deborah's trying to preach. Now, I preach as alone. No one else gets the word like I do.
I am looking forward so much to hearing you, Cousin Amos. I suppose you like preaching very much?
Oh, nay, 'tis a fearful torment and a groaning to me soul's marrow, but 'tis me truth.
Does Judith or either of the boys ever come down to hear you preach?
They struts like they have been their pride, and their eyes drips fatness, nor do they see the pit dig beneath their feet. Lord, 'tis a terrible family I'm cursed with. On the hand of the Lord lies heavy on Cold Comfort, pressing the bitter wine out of our souls.
Then why don't you sell it and buy another farm on a really nice piece of land, if you feel like that about it?
Nay, there have always been Starkadders at Cold Comfort. There's old Mrs. Starkadder, Ada Doom, that's what. Before she married Fig Starkadder, so she set against our leaving, she'll never see us go. 'Tis a curse on us. And Reuben sits a-waiting for me to go so as he can have the farm, but him shall never have it.
You ought to preach to a larger congregation than the brethren, Cousin Amos. You mustn't waste yourself on a few miserable sinners in Beersham, you know. Why don't you go round the country with a Ford van preaching on market days?
I mun till the field nearest my hand before I go into the hedges and byways. Besides, I'd be exalting myself and puffing myself up if I were to go preaching all over the country in one of they Ford vans. I'd be thinking of my own glory instead of the glory of the Lord.
But, Cousin Amos, what does it matter if you puff yourself up a bit and lose your holy humility if a lot of sinners are converted by your preaching?
Well, aye, there's truth in what you say. Oh, maybe it is my duty to seek a wider field. I won't think of it. And this will be a new sin to wrestle with, the sin of Karen, whether we soul is puffed up or not.
Yes, Cousin Amos, it is all very difficult. But you have a call, you know. No one should neglect a call. Wouldn't you like to preach to thousands?
I dearly am think of it. Here we are. I shall lead the way.
In number 203, whate'er shall we do, O Lord?
That.
'Tis Brother Amelforth. He leads the quivering when he begins to quiver.
And why does he conduct the music with a polka?
To put us in mind of hellfire. Amen.
Brother Amos!
You miserable crawling worms. Are you here again then? Have you come like Nimshi, son of Rehoboam, secretly out of your doomed houses to hear what's happened to you? Have you come, old and young, sick and well, prince and virgins, if there is any virgin? You were just not likely the world being a broken state it is. Old men and young lads, to hear me telling of the great crimson licking flames of hellfire. You've come, hundreds of ye, like rats to a granary. And what good will it do you? Not of a flicker, of a whisper of a bit of good. You're all damned.
It was now the 3rd week in March. Fecund dreams stirred in the yearlings. The sook-bind was in bud. Flora was quite enjoying herself. She was mixing a good many plots. Of course, some of the plots were going better than others. Her plot to make Adam use a little mop to clean the dishes with instead of a thorn twig had not quite turned out as she hoped.
Adam, here's your little mop. I got it in Howling this afternoon. Look, isn't it a nice little thorn? You try it and see.
Tis mine.
Yes, it's yours, your very own. Do take it.
Tis mine. My little mop.
Yes, it's to clatter the dishes with.
Nay, 'tis too pretty to clatter those great old dishes with. I mun do that with the thorn twigs. They'll serve. I'll keep my little mop in the shed along with our pointless and our feckless.
They might eat it.
Aye, so they might, Robert Postchild. Ah well, I mun hang it up by its little string above the dishwashing bowl. Never put my little pretty in that girt old greasy washing up water.
Adam, I've been meaning to ask. Have you seen anything of Elphine lately?
My cowdling? My little Elphine?
Your cowdling, yes.
She's spearing at the windows of the hall to get a sight of that young chuck-stubbered Mus Richard.
Is that the young squire?
Aye, blast him for a Kepsy set-up yearling of a womanizer.
So when are Elphine and Richard to be married?
Ha! When apples grow on the sook-bind.
Laura nodded, more gloomily than she felt. It was most unlikely that Richard Pockmonitor was planning to betray Elphine, but it was even less likely that he wanted to marry her. So, unless Flora did something about it, Elphine would simply be left on the Stockadder's hands. But first was the problem of Reuben, who would inherit the farm if Amos were to leave on his preaching tour.
So you went with the old devil, eh?
If you mean, did I go with Cousin Amos to hear him preach? Yes, I did.
You went.
I advised Cousin Amos to address his sermons to a wider audience. I think he ought to go round the country in a van preaching.
Threatening the harmless birds off the bushes, more like.
You see, Reuben, if Cousin Amos were away a good deal, it would mean that someone else would have to take charge of the farm, wouldn't it?
Someone else will have to take charge of it in any case when the old devil dies.
Yes, of course. So I was thinking it would be a good idea if Cousin Amos were persuaded to go on a preaching tour round England. Then whoever was left in charge of the farm could get a good grip of affairs here and gradually take over.
Meaning who?
You.
Me?
I mean, yes, you.
That's impossible. The old lady had never let him go.
Why not? Why shouldn't he go? Why does Aunt Ada like to keep you all here as though you were all children?
She's out. If any of us says we'll leave the farm, she gets an attack.
An attack? What of?
Her illness. She ain't like other people's grandmothers. When she was no bigger than a linnet, she
saw something nasty in the woodshed, yes.
She's mad.
Oh, that's very awkward.
Aye, 'tis terrible. And her madness takes the form of wanting to know everything as goes on. She has to see all the books twice a week. The milk book and the chicken book and the pig book. If we keeps the books back, she has an attack. 'Tis terrible.
It is indeed. I wonder why she doesn't want to see me. I've been here nearly a month, you know, and I have never seen her yet. Well, anyway, just because Aunt Ada is mad is no reason why you shouldn't try to persuade Cousin Amos to go on a preaching tour and then manage the farm while he's away. He'll see how good you are at it and leave the farm to you.
Aye, damn me if I didn't into the old devil how he must be off speechifying this very week.
And much to her surprise, Reuben held out his hand to her. She took it and shook it warmly. This was the first sign of humanity she had encountered among the Starcadders, and she was moved by it. She felt like the astronomer royal on spotting a white dwarf. Skipping round the corner of the little sheep house, who she should see but Elphine? She had something of the brittle grace of a yearling foal. Flora thought, what a dreadful way of doing one's hair. Surely it must be a mistake.
You're Flora. I'm Elphine.
Yes. Isn't it a delicious morning? Have you been far?
Yes. No. Away over there.
The vague gesture of her outflung arm sketched, in some curious fashion, illimitable horizons. Judith's gesture had the same barrierless quality that was not a vase left anywhere in the farm.
I feel stifled in the house. I hate houses.
Indeed.
Do you like poetry?
Some of it.
I adore it. It says all the things I can't say for myself, somehow. It means, oh, I don't know, just everything, somehow. Do you ever feel that?
Occasionally, something of the sort.
I write poetry.
I thought you might.
I'll show you some, if you promise not to laugh.
I think I can promise that with safety.
And love, too. Love and poetry go together, somehow.
Elphine, are you engaged?
There's someone. We don't want to spoil things by having anything definite and binding. It's horrible to bind anyone down.
Nonsense. It's a very good idea, and it is a good thing for you to be bound down too. Now, what do you suppose will happen to you if you don't marry this someone?
Oh, but I've got it all planned out. I shall get a job in an arts and crafts shop, and later on I can go to Italy and perhaps learn to be a little like Saint Francis of Assisi.
Elphine, that would be a terrible idea. Now, what is it? Tell me. Do you hate being at home?
Yes, but I'm not often there. No, it's irk.
Irk? That's the foxy-looking little man who helps with the chickens. What about him?
I think he wants to marry me. I think grandmother means me to marry him when I'm 18. He climbs the apple tree outside my window and tries to watch me going to bed. I had to hang up 3 face towels over the window, and then he poked them down with a fishing rod and laughed and shook his fist at me. I don't know what to do.
And does your someone know about this?
Well, I told him.
What did he say?
Oh, he said, rotten luck, old girl.
It's Dick Hawkmonitor, isn't it?
Oh, how did you know? Oh, I suppose everybody knows by now. It's beastly.
Things are certainly in rather a mess, but I do not think we need to go so far as to say they are beastly. Now, you must forgive me asking you these questions, Elphine, but has the young Hawkmonitor actually asked you to marry him?
Well, he said he thought it would be a jolly good idea if we did.
Bad. And I suppose you care enough for him, my dear, to wish to become his wife?
I have sometimes been selfish enough to wish that I had Dick all to myself. And then there's this dance. Of course, I hate dancing unless it's, in the woods with the wildflowers and the birds. But I did rather want to go to this one because, you see, it's Dick's 21st birthday party, and somehow I think it would be rather fun.
Have you not been invited?
Oh, no, you see, grandmother doesn't allow the Starcatters to accept invitations unless it's to funerals. Dick did say he wished that I was coming, but I think he was only being kind. I don't think he really thought for a minute that I should be able to.
I suppose it would be of no use asking your grandmother for permission to go.
Oh, I'm sure she would never let me go. She quarreled with the Hawkmonitors nearly 30 years ago, and she hates Dick's mother. She would be mad with rage if she thought that I even knew Dick. Besides, she thinks dancing is wicked.
Now listen, Elphine. I think it would be an excellent move if you went to this dance. I will try and see if I can manage it. I shall go too and keep an eye on you. It may be a little difficult to secure invitations for us, but I will do my best. And then I will take you up to town with me and we will buy you a frock.
Oh, Flora!
When is this dance? Will many people be asked?
Oh, it's on the 21st of April, just a month from tomorrow. Oh, yes, it will be very big. They're holding it at the assembly rooms at Godmere, and all the county will be asked because, you see, it is Dick's 21st birthday.
All the better. It will be easier to work an invitation. Now, who can escort you? Does Seth dance?
I don't know. I hate him.
I cannot say that I like him much myself, but if he dances, I think it would be as well if he came with us. You must have a partner, you know. But what I must do now is to find out if anyone in London among my friends knows these Hawkmonitors.
Flora used her imagination, but found that it refused to present her with a picture of Mrs. Hawkmonitor welcoming Elphine with joy as a daughter-in-law. And the Starcatters themselves would be sure, when the engagement was announced, to kick up one hell of a fuss. To fit the Hawkmonitors, Elphine must be transformed. Her airiness must be rooted out. She must write no more poetry, no go for any more long walks unless accompanied by a proper sort of dog. She must learn to be serious about horses, to laugh when a book or a string quartet was mentioned, and confess that she was not brainy. And there were only 27 days in which to teach her all of these things. Difficult times lay ahead.
There will now be an intermission of 5 minutes.
raining all the time. Life is bare, gloom and misery everywhere, stormy weather. I just can't get my poor self together. I'm weary all the time, so weary all the time. When he went away, the blues walked in and met me. If he stays away, old rocking chair will get me. All I do is pray the Lord above will let me walk in the sun once more. I can't go on. Everything I had is gone, stormy weather. Since my man and I ain't together, keeps raining all the time. It keeps raining all the time.
It's a great life if you don't weaken. You're a great guy if you won't weaken. If you don't lose heart, the hardest part is the first 100 years. It's a great life if you stick to it. Yes, a great world with a kick to it. If you come up strong, it won't be long till the sunshine appears. If you let him biff you, Mr. Gloom will knock you cold. Get him, never let him use the well-known stranglehold. It's a great life if you don't weaken. You're a great guy if you won't weaken. If you do, oh well, what the? It's still a great life.
And now, Act 2 of Cold Comfort Farm.
There were only 27 days in which to teach Elphine all she needed to pass muster with the Hawk monitors at her son's birthday ball. Difficult times lay ahead, not least with Urk, who had sensed what was afoot and did not like it.
You're smart, aren't you, miss? Think I don't know what's going on. Now you listen to me. She's mine, I tell you, mine. She's my woman, the same as a hen belongs to a cock, and no one don't have her except me, you see. She were promised to me the day she were born by her grandmother. I put a cross in Wolf's blood on her feeding bottle when she were an hour old to mock her for mine.
And every year since then, on her birthday, I've taken her up to Ticklepenny's corner, and we've hung over the old well until we see a waterfall. And I've said to her, remember, when the waterfalls mate under the May trees this summer, I'll make her mine. Me and the waterfalls, we can afford to wait for what we want. So you heed what I say, miss. Elfine's mine.
I heard you. You said it before.
And God help the man or woman who tries to take her from me. Me and the waterfalls will get her back.
Are those waterfalls around your neck? I've never seen any before. What a lot of them, all at once.
Ah!
There is no time to be lost. Elfine must be taken up to town this very day. But first, someone should really give big business a bit of fresh air.
Oh, someone's let the bull out.
I know, I did. And quite time, too. He needs some fresh air. But never mind that now. Seth, will you drive Elfine and me down to the station to catch the 10:59?
All right. I'll get out the buggy.
Hey, someone's let the bull out. It's terrible. I'm unsoothed, feckless. She not herself. Who let her out?
I did.
The bull's out!
Who let out big business?
Who let him loose?
It's terrible.
Adam, would you mind pinning this note to the kitchen door where everyone can see it as they come out? Ask who let the bull out.
I did F post.
Once in London, Flora first took Elfine to Maison Viole to have her hair cut, and then to Maison Solide, where Monsieur Solide fussed over Elfine for some time and promised her a beautiful dress in white satin for the following day. Elfine declared it to be
better than poetry.
Flora had done what she had hoped to. She had made Elfine look groomed and normal, yet had preserved in her personality a suggestion of cool, smoothly blowing winds and the smell of wild flowers. All was looking promising for the evening of the dance. As Seth collected them for the station the following day and drove them back to the farm, Flora reflected that his problem was the next one to tackle. She thought of the letter in her handbag. It was from a Mr. Earl P. Neck, an American friend and film producer currently working on a film in the new British studios.
Dear Miss Post, it was good to meet you at the Hart Harris's. I'll be monitoring down on the next few days to see some people who work at Brighton, and I thought I'd swing by and see you too. With a week Thursday morning suit, yours, Earl P. Neck.
She decided it could do no harm to introduce Seth to him. But first came Saturday, and the Hawk Monitor's ball.
Flora, do I look nice?
You look extremely beautiful. Mind you, behave yourself properly. 7:15. The taxi should be outside.
I feel a little sick.
It's me. Cab's here.
Is Irk anywhere about?
Oh, I saw him hanging over the well at Ticklepenny's took into the waterfalls an hour ago.
Oh, then he's safe for another half hour at least. I think we might go down then. Elfine, are you ready? Now, not a sound. Come along.
The assembly rooms at Godmere were reached by the party without mishap, and Elfine's entrance down the ballroom staircase was everything Flora could have hoped for.
Miss Stargabber, Elfine, may I say how simply proper you look.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Hawk Monitor.
Richard appeared to be deeply in love. Flora had not often seen a young man's face so rapt with adoration as with his face of Richard Hawk Monitor. But would he propose marriage? Her question was soon answered.
Oh, Flora, I do so want you to meet Dick.
How do you do? I have heard so much about you, and I am so pleased to meet you.
I say I am awfully glad to meet you. Elf has told me all about you, too. I say this is jolly, isn't it? Marvelous idea of the Maters having the orgy here instead of in the family crematorium, what? I say, Miss Post, it was awfully decent of you to bring Elfine. I simply can't thank you enough, you know. We're engaged, as a matter of fact.
My dear, charming. I am delighted. I congratulate you.
We're going to announce it at the end of the evening. Good opportunity, what?
Perfect. Just perfect.
Another dance, Elf?
Laura glowed with content. Her aim was achieved. She felt as though she had shaken the thirst in the face of Aunt Ada Doom. Elfine was rescued. Henceforth, her life would be one of exquisite, sunny, natural content. She would bear children and found a line of pleasant, ordinary English people who were blazing with poetry and their secret souls. All was as it should be. Though there was still the problem of Mrs. Hawkmonitor.
Miss Post, I will be frank with you. I cannot pretend that I am delighted at this engagement. Who is this young lady? I have only met her once before. I know nothing of her or her family.
She is a gentle, docile person. Dear Miss Hawkmonitor, pray do not be distressed. I am sure that you will learn to like Elfine. Do believe me when I say that she has excellent qualities. As for her family, if I may venture to offer you some advice, I should take steps at once to see that she sees next to nothing of them for the next few weeks. There will probably be strong opposition to the match.
Opposition? What impertinence!
Indeed, yes. Mrs. Starkadder, her grandmother, has always intended Elfine to marry her cousin Urk. In fact, the sooner you can arrange for the marriage to take place, the better it will be for Elfine.
Oh dear. I had hoped for a year's engagement, at least Dick is so young.
The more reason why you should begin at once to be utterly happy. And I am sure you do not want a lot of interference from the Starkadders, do you?
Such a dreadful name, too. But I will think over what you say. Perhaps, after all, everything's for the best.
As they drove back to the farm, Seth considered the implications of Elfine's engagement.
Aye, that. Olin will have something to say about tonight's work.
Grandmama can't stop me getting married.
Aye, maybe not, but she'll give a damn good try.
She cannot do much in a month. Elfine must just avoid Aunt Ada until while she's in the house, that's all. Heaven knows it ought not to be very difficult to do, considering that Aunt Ada never leaves her bedroom.
Have a look at the house, then.
Laura stared in the direction to which they pointed and saw with a thrill of dismay that the windows of the farm were ablaze with light.
Aye, 'tis grandmother. Oh, she's holding the counting. Aye, 'tis her all right.
What on earth is the counting, and why in the name of all that's inconvenient should it be held at 1:30 in the morning?
It is a record of the family that grandmother holds every year. I mean, see, we violent folk, we Starkadders now. Some of us pushes others down wells. Some of us dies in childbirth. The others die of drink or goes mad. So once a year, grandmother, she holds a gathering called the counting, and she counts us all to see how many of us have died in the year.
Then she can count me out. Now, Elfine, brace up. We are, I am afraid, for it. You had best not say a word. I will do all the talking.
As they entered, everybody was staring at the door. The silence was terrific. Flora was trying to decide just what the kitchen looked like and came to the conclusion it was the Chamber of Horrors at Madame Tussauds.
Well, the gang's all here, isn't it? I suppose there aren't any sandwiches.
Food on the table. But first, Robert Post's child, you must greet your Aunt Ada Doom. Mother, this is Flora, Robert Post's child. I have spoken to you about her.
How do you do, Aunt Ada?
I saw something nasty in the woodshed.
'Tis true.
'Twas a burning noonday, 69 years ago, and me no bigger than a titty wren. I saw something nasty.
Laura had been observing Aunt Ada's firm chin, clear eyes, tight little mouth in close grip upon the Milk Producer's Weekly Bulletin and Cow Keeper's Guide, and she came to the conclusion that if Aunt Ada was mad, then she, Flora, was one of the Marx Brothers.
Something nasty. You're all wicked and cruel. You want to go away and leave me alone in the woodshed, but you never shall. None of you, never. There have always been Starkadders at Cold Comfort. You must all stay here with me. All of you. Where's Seth? Where's my darling? Oh, come here, Seth. That's my good boy, my moment. Oh, how grand he is tonight. Oh, what's this fancy coat? Oh, what have you been doing, boy? Tell your granny.
He's been to Godmere to Richard Hawkmonitor's 21st birthday dance. So have I. So has Elphine. And what is more, Aunt Ada, Elphine and Richard Hawkmonitor are engaged to be married, and will be married too in about a month from now.
My little waterfall! My little waterfall!
I shall go mad. There have always been Starkadders at Cold Comfort. I saw something nasty in the woodshed. Something nasty.
And I mun go where the Lord's work calls me to go, and spread the Lord's word abroad in strange places. That is terrible to have to go, but I mun do it. I mun go abroad in one of they Ford vans, preaching all over the countryside. I, like the pussies of old, I have heard my call, and I mun follow it.
No, you mustn't go. None of you. There's always been.
I mun go. This very night I mun go. I hear the glad voices of angels calling me out o'er the ploughed fields where the little seedlings clap their hands in prayer. And besides, I arranged with Agony Beetle's brother to pick me up in the milk van at 3:30, so I've no time to lose. Aye, 'tis goodbye to your mother. I have broken your chain at last, with the help of the angels and the good Lord. Where's me hat?
So you go and leave me in the woodshed. There have always been Starkadders at Cold Comfort. I shall go mad. I shall die here, alone in the woodshed, with nasty things.
Yeah, good night all.
Amos!
In the waterfalls. We failed. We're beaten. She was mine, see, mine, and I've lost her. Why did... Hey, come here. You, Miriam.
What?
I'll take you instead. All right, dirt as you are, I'll take you and we'll sink into the mud together.
Well, who's talking about dirt? A pity you don't spend a little bit less time with your old water voles and a bit more time with soap and flannel. Well, don't you have 'em, Ducky, unless you feel like it. You're fully young yet, and he won't see 40 again.
I won't mind. I'll have them. If it wants me. I can always make them wash a bit if I likes it.
Come, my beauty, my handful of dirt. I mun carry thee up to Tickle Pennies and show ye to the waterfalls. Come, my beauty.
4 of them gone. Elphine, Elmas, Marion, and I'm alone in the woodshed now. Who took them away? I must know. I must know. It was that chit, that brat, Robert Post's child.
Come on, Miss Post. 'Tis time you were in bed.
Amazed and grateful to Reuben, Flora tiptoed across the little door. Reuben drew her safely through it and closed it noiselessly.
Reuben, you are an utter lamb.
You got the old devil out of the way for me.
Oh, that
And I don't forget, the farm will be mine now, surely.
So it will. Such fun for you.
Suddenly, a shocking row broke out in the kitchen behind them. The Starkadders were off
There's
again.
always been Starkadders.
Flora was asleep at 3:30 the following afternoon and would have slept on comfortably enough until tea time, but that she was aroused by a knocking at her door and a message from Mrs. Beetle that...
Miss Post, there's a gentleman to see you who says his name's Neck.
L.P. Neck, in fact, Flora's film producer friend from America. And over a pot of Mrs. Beetle's tea, Flora turned the conversation to the film industry.
So I'm over here looking for English film stars. I want to find me another Clark Gable, see. I want a big husky stiff that smells of the great outdoors and a golden voice. I want passion. I want red blood. I don't want no milquetoast, see. Milquetoast give me a pain in the neck, and they're beginning to give the great American public a pain in the neck too. Yeah, I want a man to fetch the women, someone who can look good in a tuxedo and yet handle one of them old world plows. Is there another cup, sweetheart?
While Earl P. Neck was speaking, Seth had come silently with his graceful, pantherish tread to the door of the room and now stood there, looking down inquiringly at Flora. And when Mr. Neck saw Flora smile, he turned round and looked across the doorway to see at whom her gesture was directed, and he saw Seth. And he saw the local, irresistible bounder. Millions of women were to realize in the next 5 years that Seth could be transported in fancy to a Welsh mining village, a rundown London slum, a raw city in the plains of the Middle West, and still remain eternally and unchangeably the local, irresistible bounder.
That's it, sweetheart. That's got it. Hold it.
Seth, there you are. I wanted Mr. Neck to meet you. Earl, this is my cousin, Seth Starkadder. He's very interested in the talkies. Mr. Neck is a producer, Seth.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Neck.
Ah, well, so you're a fan, eh? You and me must get acquainted, huh? Maybe you thought of going in the movies yourself?
More than anything else in the world.
Well, ain't that dandy? He wants to be a movie star, and I want to make him one. What do you know about that? Now, Seth, sweetheart, get your suitcase and we'll be off. We'll be catching the Atlantic Flyer at 8 tonight. Say, though, what about your folks, huh? What about Mama? Will she need squaring?
I'll deal with that, Earl. Seth, go and pack a bag with everything you'll need for the journey.
Oh, yes.
We'll send her $5,000 at the first picture he makes. Oh boy, I got him. What do you say his name was? Seth. That's a milk toasty sort of name, but it'll do. It's kind of different. Keep him guessing. Oh boy, wait till I get him in a tuxedo. Wait till I start his publicity. Now we got to find a new angle. Let's see. Maybe he'd better be shy. No. He hates women. Yeah, that's it. Oh boy, that'll fetch him. It'd take more than anyone's grandma to stop me now.
But Flora still had to get Seth as far as Mr. Neck's car, and the family's suspicion had been aroused. As they crossed the yard, Flora looked back to see two figures framed in the upstairs bedroom window.
Oh, mercy. Earl, hurry up and go.
What? Is that Grandma? Come on, Seth, sweetheart, into the car. We got to make that flyer.
Seth, where are you going?
I saw something nasty in the woodshed. My baby, my darling, you mustn't leave me. I can't bear it.
Gee, ma'am, I know it's raw, I know it's tough, but that's life, girl. Oh, that woodshed lion, that was on years ago. He'll send you $5,000 out of his first film.
Seth, you mustn't go. You can't leave your mother. There's a spring onion harvest too. 'Tis man's work. You mustn't go.
I saw something nasty in the woodshed.
Well, did it see you? Okay, chauffeur, hit it.
When next Flora saw Seth, It was a year later, and he smiled down at her in the drowsy darkness from a great silver screen. Seth Starkadder in small town Czech. Already, as the car receded, he was as unreal as Achilles. Flora was extremely glad to get back to her parlor and to sink into a comfortable little armchair which stood by the fire. The refreshing Mrs. Beetle was there, clearing away the tea things.
Miss Elphine sent her best, Miss Flora, and she's gone over to spend 6 weeks at the Hall. Mr. Dick came over at lunchtime today in his motor. Nice looking boy, ain't he?
Very. So she's gone, has she? Oh, well, that's splendid. Now the family will have time to settle down and get over the engagement. And where's Urk?
Him? He's as large as life and twice as natural, down at mine, playing with the kids.
The jazz band? I mean, with Miriam's children?
Yes, giving him rides on his back and pretending he's a waterfall. Oh, there's a postcard for you.
Canterbury Cathedral. It's from Cousin Amos.
Praise the Lord! This morning I preached his word to thousands in the marketplace. I am now going out to hire one of they Ford vans. I tell Cousin Micah, if he wants to drive it, he must come with me out ready. No wages. Praise the Lord. Send my flannel shirts. Fond love to all. A Starkadder.
Some weeks later, a second postcard arrived. This one showed Liverpool Cathedral and read,
Praise the Lord. I go to spread the Lord's word among the heathen Americans with the Reverend Elderberry Shiftglass of Chicago. Praise the Lord. I tell Reuben he can have the farm. Send clean socks. Love to all. A Starkadder.
The farm was now in safe hands, but Flora was not satisfied. There was the problem of Judith. There was old Adam, and there was Aunt Ada Doom herself, the greatest problem of all, and the hardest. She decided that she must tackle Judith next.
Oh, Cousin Judith, would you care to come up to town with me tomorrow? I want to do some shopping, and I hope to lunch with a very charming Austrian, Dr. Moodle from Vienna. Do come.
I am a dead woman.
I see. Well, I propose catching the 10:30 to town, so I will expect you to be ready by 9 o'clock. You mustn't carry on like this, you know. It depresses us all to no end. I mean, all this lovely weather and whatnot, it's a pity to waste it.
I myself am a waste. I am a used husk, a rind, a skin. What use am I now? He's gone.
Well, never mind that now. Just you make up your mind to be ready by 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. We're going to London.
Whoa, so Miss Post, what an enjoyable lunch. I do believe your Judith Starkadder is quite taken with me, as I was her. She will be all right now. I saw her a few times, then I recommend a little holiday. I make her interested in old churches, I think. Yes, old churches. Yes. There are so many in Europe, and it will take the rest of her life to see them all. She will be quite happy. All that energy, it is a pity, yes. It all turns in instead of out. Now I turn it out and on to the old churches. Yes.
I understand that you are going to stay with Dr. Moodle for a while, Cousin Judith.
He has asked me. You are very kind, Dr. Moodle.
I will wait for you outside, Judith. Goodbye, Miss Post.
Goodbye, Dr. Moodle.
There is a dark force in him. It beats like a black gong. I wonder you do not feel it.
Oh, well, we can't all strike lucky. But really, Judith, you do need a holiday. You know, after all the fuss there's been at home lately. You might go abroad and see some of the sights of Europe. Old churches and all that. Don't worry about the farm. Reuben will look after that for you and send you a fat piece out of the takings every month.
Amos?
Oh, I wouldn't fuss about him. He's gone off to America with the Reverend Elderbury Shiftglass. He'll let you know when he's coming back. Don't you bother. You enjoy yourself while you're young.
And this was what Judith evidently decided to do, for she drove off with Dr. Moodle in his car looking quite content. So that was all settled, and Flora watched the departing Judith with feelings of considerable satisfaction. But when she got back to the farm and looked upwards to the closed, blank face of the window immediately above the kitchen door, her face grew pensive again. Aunt Ada's room. Aunt Ada was still there, fighting her losing battle. Aunt Ada, the spirit of cold comfort, was hard-pressed but still undefeated. And could she, Flora, really congratulate herself upon her work at the farm and flatter herself that the end of the work was in sight when Aunt Ada Doom still brooded aloft in her tower?
Your supper's on the table, Duck. Cold veal and salad. I'm off home now. Oh, and there's a blancmange. Pink.
Lovely. Thank you, Mrs. Beetle. Miss Judith won't be back tonight. She is going to stay in London for a while and then take a long holiday. Has everything been all right?
Her upstairs took on something awful about Miss Judith going off this morning. Said she was all alone in the woodshed now, and no mistake. Still, she keeps her appetite. I will say that for her. 3 helpings of veal and 2 of suet roly-poly for her dinner today. Can you beat it? Well, this won't buy the baby a new frock. Good night, Miss Flora. I'll be here right sharp tomorrow.
Good night, Mrs. Beetle. Reuben! Now I'm back. We have to make preparations for Elfine's wedding reception.
All right. I'm glad them holding it there and not up at the hall.
Me too. I suspect Mrs. Hawkmonitor was quite happy to avoid the responsibility, but I'll need some money to do decorations and food for the wedding.
Of course. What about the old one?
Leave her to me. Well, thank you so much for this money, my lamb. I will see about the decorations and food at once. Oh, and need we have all the pictures wreathed with that smelly sook bind?
'Tis no choice of mine. 'Tis grandmother. Do as you please, cousin Flora. I never wants to see a sprig of it again.
Adam, I would like you to send a telegram. Mrs. Mary Smiling, Chauncey Grove, Chiswick Mall. Please send at once latest number Vogue. Stop. Also, Prospectus Hotel, Miramar, Paris. Stop. And very important, photographs Mae West having a good time. Love, Flora.
And Flora retired to bed that night in the calm confidence that she had found the way to deal with Aunt Ada Doom. The parcel from Mary Smiling arrived 3 days later. It was time to set Flora's plan in train. Offering to take Ada's lunch tray up to her room, she issued instructions to Mrs. Beetle.
If I have not come down by 3 o'clock, Mrs. Beetle, will you kindly bring up some lemonade? At 4:30, you may bring up tea and some of that currant cake. If I am not down by 7 o'clock, please bring up a tray with supper for 2, and we will have hot milk and biscuits at 10. Now, goodbye. I beg of you not to worry. All will be well.
And that was the last anyone's heard or seen of her for nearly 9 hours.
So what's going on?
No idea. Every time I take the food up, I can hear low talk, but that's all. It's 9:30. Do you think I should take up some cocoa?
No, you've been told to take up hot milk at 10 o'clock, and hot milk at 10 you should take. Don't you disobey Flora's instructions to the tiniest detail.
Right, but I'll put the milk on to warm.
1 cup will be enough, Mrs. Beetle. Hello, you're both here then. You need not take any milk up to Aunt Ada. I've put her to bed. She's asleep. I'd love some for myself, though.
We was feared for his soul, cousin Flora.
Don't know many times we near came up to fetch you down again.
Too nice of you. But it's quite all right, really. Everything's settled now. You need not worry, Reuben. There will be no fuss at the wedding or anything. We can go right ahead with the preparations. In fact, everything ought to be rather good one way or another.
Cousin Flora, no one but you could have done it. I suppose you wouldn't tell us how it was done.
Well, it's a long story, you know. We talked for hours. I can't possibly tell you all that we said. It would take all night. You'll see when the time comes. Oh, the wedding day, I mean. You wait. It will be a surprise, a lovely surprise. I can't tell you now. It would spoil things. You just wait and see. It will be a simply lovely surprise.
Good night, Miss Post.
Good night, Cousin Flora. 'Twere a good day for Cold Comfort when first ye came here.
Yes, so don't mention it. It's been the most enormous diversion to me. Just you wait until the wedding day, though. This is going to be such fun.
Midsummer day dawned with a thick grey haze in the air and a heavy dew in the meadows and the trees. Flora noted the heat haze with joy. Elphine's wedding day would be a day of warmth, brilliant, blue and radiant. Adams Lambeth had been even earlier stir, making wreaths of wallflowers with which to garland the horns of feckless, pointless, graceless, and aimless. This done, he led them forth to the morning pasture, singing a smutty wedding song he had learned from the marriage of George IV.
I'll just take up a breakfast. You'll have to have it cold today. There's half a ham and a jar of pickled onions. It won't be a jiff.
Oh, I've just been in to see Aunt Ada. She doesn't want anything for breakfast except a Hell's Angel. Here, give me an egg. I'll mix it for her.
What?
Egg, brandy, and cream.
Your diet's changed. I'll take it up to her.
How is the old woman then? Will she come down and upset everything after all? Do you think, Cousin Flora?
Not on your sweet life. Everything will be all right. Remember, I told you there was going to be a surprise? Well, it's just beginning.
Right then, I'll get out her special chair, the one she sits in for the accountant, and then it's off at church.
You were right, Mrs. Beadle. Only white flowers are suitable to Elphine's extreme youth and undoubted purity. I love all the daisies. Is Reuben ready to lead Elphine down the aisle?
Aye, looking nervous, but he's there.
I'm pleased Judith came back for the wedding. The church seems full of stargadders.
And all here enjoying themselves, having a nice time.
Really, when you think what they'd all been like only a few months ago.
Here comes the bride. Here is Elphine, pale and serious and starry-eyed as a bride should be, leaning upon the arm of Reuben. Here is Dick Hawkmonitor, his pleasant face betraying none of the nervousness he must feel. Here is Mrs. Hawkmonitor, looking vague in grey.
Dearly beloved.
Half an hour later, they were all at the farm, chattering and laughing, and experienced the curious exultation which always follows a wedding or a funeral. As Flora crossed the threshold and passed from the hot sunshine into the cool gloom, she suddenly stepped aside to let the guests have a clear view of the kitchen and of somebody who rose from a chair wreathed in peonies, greeting them with a ringing cry.
So here you all are. Welcome to Cold Comfort.
Tis Aunt Ada. Tis Aunt Ada do.
Does the old one herself?
Well.
Tis flying in the face of nature.
Aye, and in trousers too.
Aye,
First
tis
time in
terrible.
20 year.
Dear me, how delightful. So unexpected.
Oh, grandmother.
You could knock me down with a warming pan. Miracles will never cease.
Well, my good people, all this is very flattering. But if I am to spend any time with my granddaughter and the rest of you, we must hurry up and begin the wedding breakfast. I leave for Paris by air in less than an hour.
Oh,
We must cook the cake.
Oh,
Yes.
dear Flora, I can't thank you enough for pointing out how luxurious the Hotel Miramar in Paris is and explaining what a pleasant life could be had in this world by a handsome, sensible old lady of good fortune, blessed with sound constitution and a firm will. And I will remember, my dear, to preserve my personality, as you advised. You shall not find me plucking my eyebrows, nor dieting, nor doting on a boy of 25. I am very grateful to you, mon pipit. What pretty thing shall I send you from Paris?
A workbox, please. Mine is wearing out. But Aunt Ada, there is something else you can do for me too, if you will. What was the wrong that Amos did to my father, Robert Post? And what are my rights of which Judith used to speak? I feel I cannot let you go off on your tour without asking you. And did the goat die?
Well,
Grandmother, Adam wants to come live at the hall with us and look after the Hawk Monitor cows. May he? We should so like him to. He knows all about cows, you know.
oh, well, by all means, my dear. But who will care for feckless, graceless, pointless, and aimless if he deserts them?
Nay, never say that, Mrs. Starkadder, ma'am. I'll take care of 'em with me all four of 'em. There's room for us all up at the hall.
It sounds like the finale of the first act in a musical comedy. Well, you may take them if you want to.
Oh, bless ye. Now, bless ye, Miss Starkadder, ma'am. I'll go and tell the cows to be ready for the journey to the hall.
And did the goat die? And what about my rights? Dash it, the thing must be straightened out.
Well,
I say, I'm so sorry that you're going away at once, Mrs. Starkadder, but you must come to dinner the very moment you return from the world tour.
I am sorry too, but would be delighted to.
How jolly!
So Flora's question was not answered, and it was fated never to be answered. For the next interruption was the drone of an airplane, and the youngest member of the jazz band came rushing in, proclaiming that there was an aeroplane landing in Tickle Penny's field.
Oh, I must go off.
3 cheers for Aunt Ada! Hurrah!
Hurrah!
Hurrah! Hurrah!
In the face of the bustle of buckling Aunt Ada into her kit and exchanging embraces and messages and promises to write and to meet at the hall at Christmas, Flora could not put a question a third time. It would have been ill-bred. She must just relinquish her rights, whatever they may be, and be resigned never to know whether the goat died or not.
Cold Comfort Farm. Part of Older Flora was played by Dre Weeks. Younger Flora by Grace Berger White. Aunt Ada Doon by Celeste Lucid Weiser. And Judith Starkadder by Kelly Newman O'Connor. Amos Starkadder was played by Brad Sperber. Adam Lambsbreath by John O'Connor. Seth by Langston Cotman. Reuben by Kate Newman. And Irk by Michael Novello. Alphine was played by Meg LeBeau. Miriam Beadle and Mary Smiling by Maddie Sperber White. Mrs. Beadle and the Kensington Cousin by Liz Porter. Dick Hawk Monitor